ride-hailing driver today that is using maybe one of those small Suzuki to a bigger, maybe the size of a Toyota Corolla to a Camry, they are spending anywhere from a low of 18,000 naira to 35,000 naira a day. Whereas our product that we are targeting for ride-hailing is 4,000 to 5,000 naira a day to charge the car for under band A. A ride-hailing driver has a better income than most bachelor's degree, master's degree.
Is electric vehicle the solution Nigeria needs in the transportation sector and also in cutting emissions?
So that's a very excellent question, but the truth about it is Nigeria needs multiple solutions, not just EV. It is an all of the above solution, not just EV. Every country needs to focus on the proper power mix. It's not just electric, CNG, as far as mobility is concerned, even diesel, because each power mix is excellent in some areas. For example, for your everyday needs, last mile, the private market, electric mobility is excellent. But when you now start talking about mass transit and some part of logistics, then CNG will shine, not necessarily better, but shines the best. Because, for instance, Nigeria is a CNG producing country. Because we have ready CNG, we need to lean some on that. And because the biggest impediment to CNG is the logistics of distributing CNG. That's the primary issue. Forget about that CNG cuts emissions a little, but not to target, right? So the hub and spoke model where you have a depot where both a logistic truck can come and pick their CNG and move. It works well for mass transit because if you have 300 buses, all the buses are coming to the depot at night. So every country has to look at it. Don't say that the solution is electric. Solution is you have to use that solution in the right way. For instance, we tell people that for electric mobility, the best sweet spot for Nigeria would be to use CNG to produce the power, use it to industrialize, and use it to produce the electricity that charges the car, but use the cars to do the actual mobility. So that really is the question to that. Is the EV the solution here? There has to be a power mix. Even diesel will compete very well in the heavy trucks because diesel is available, but CNG may not be as that. So if you are moving heavy items to a remote part of the country, they might not have CNG. You will need diesel there. So yeah, but the beauty of electric is bringing down the cost of the power itself. And then being able to make the average person, because the average person 80% of electric vehicle drivers are going to charge inside their house. So therefore, if you have power that is available, being produced by CNG from power plants, people can readily charge their car at home
overnight.
So yeah, nobody should ever look. It is a power mix. Not that we have found EVs, let us all move to EV, no. And if you want to move everybody to EV today, then you are looking at humongous cost. Because part of the equation of EV is the number of EVs you bring online is going to start decreasing the cost. So as of today, that cost equation is something we have to discuss, but it's getting better. Even as of 3 years ago, we were not sure we'll be able to deliver EVs that are comparable, but now we even have EVs that are below the cost of internal combustion vehicles, brand new.
Wow.
Yes.
That's actually something to commend. Because if we are having EVs that are coming cheaper than the
100%.
usual suspects of the vehicle that is petrol and all of that, then obviously we talk about people trying to at least go for EVs, which we now drive me to the next question of your assessment. You've been in the sector in this part of the country, in the world, for more than 3 years now. So, what is your assessment of Nigeria's readiness, for widespread EV adoption, considering infrastructure and public awareness?
Yes, you mentioned two main things: public awareness and infrastructure, and that those areas we're working on aggressively, particularly just people being aware. We started working on this company 5 years ago, by the way, not 3 years ago, 5 years. In that time, we have realized that people just don't even know. For instance, recently I had a very highly educated person who travels abroad all the time. He has actually driven an EV abroad. He did not know that EVs don't need oil change, don't use engine oil, don't use service. That is information that the common man needs to know. Is your EV appropriate for hold up? Let me tell you, if you want to be in a 3 or 4 days hold up, you want to be stuck on one spot for 3 to 4 days non-stop in a hold up, you want to be in an EV, because the EV really only uses power when it's moving. When you're in a hold up, what you need really is air conditioning and radio and for charge your phone, right? Assuming you ask me. But I've done demonstrations of an EV that will turn the AC on and leave it for 96 hours straight, and is only consuming 25% of the battery. People need to know this, because one of the questions that people ask all the time, what if I'm in 4 hours hold up from Lekki to Egbeda, that I'm scared that the battery? I said no, because the EVs use a highly efficient inverter AC. For instance, you want to sell normal AC to somebody now, will they buy it from you? No, they will want an inverter AC. Those are inverter ACs. Those don't run by the engine of the car. They are battery powered. Same thing. That cuts the amount of power consumption. People need to know this. Yeah, so is Nigeria ready? Your exact question. Absolutely. Education is key. And we are now finding out that we need to educate the public. People just don't even know this. And we are there working hard on manufacturing on ground, but we realize that
the people that you're supposed to service,
they don't even understand that this is a mighty solution to many problems. So let us now talk from the infrastructure. Yes, infrastructure, but for instance, people ask me, what is the biggest problem? Is it not charging? And I tell them, interestingly, charging is not the biggest problem we face. It has been actually one of the easiest problems to solve. Because people say, there's no electricity in Nigeria. I said, yes, but don't forget that Nigeria, we produce maybe all our power is 5,000 kilowatts. But don't forget that our actual consumption of electricity is like 15 kilowatts. What is in the gap? It is because you and I have now become NEPA. We are producing that electricity somehow, one way or the other, either by generator, by CNG, or by solar. You are producing it. So, and think about it. Have you realized that most Nigerians are very addicted to sleeping in AC? A Nigerian can be in that hot sun all day. But when it comes to the time to rest at night properly, they are going to sleep in AC. How did you power that AC? All we are saying is, when you are under the AC, when you are also charging your phone, please charge your car. Do you understand? I know it's sounding funny, but I'm telling you, because as long as you have a generator that can produce 20 kVA, you will charge an EV. And if you charge that EV, the smallest EV is 4 hours charge, 330 kilometers. My brother, you have to have some special powers to drive 300 kilometers a day in any city in Nigeria. There is something special about you. Let's not talk, maybe you have some ancestors that are helping you. So all I'm saying is that, so now, but again, education. I have to break it down to this level. People say, But I said, no. And I have cars that are 600 kilometers on a charge, 8-hour charge. So you have slept. So all of a sudden now, people are realizing, and I tell them, my own EV that I drive is a luxury EV, SUV, 500 kilometers. How many times a week do I charge? It's very rare for us to charge more than once a week.
All right. So thank you for the insights.
So yeah, Nigeria is ready. In fact, I can assure you that 70% of Nigerians that live in the city have access to more than 15 hours of electricity a week, not a day, a week. Those guys are all potential electric vehicle customers. So, okay, let me go back to the question. Is Nigeria ready? You asked, what's my assessment of whether Nigerian readiness for widespread EV adoption? Yeah. I hope I've been able to at least try to answer that question.
You've done more than just answer.
Okay, yeah, but again, Nigerians have to hear this message.
Yes, obviously, because we need advocacy, education, and what they will get, like their value for money. So, which will take us to the next question. My next question is about the material that we use. Obviously, some of these things are brought in from outside the country; they are being imported. But we have one here called lithium. You can find in Nigeria, in some states in Nigeria. So, and some EV companies outside of this country are already coming in. I think there was a time Edo State was supposed to sign a deal with an international organization for lithium. So, how do you see Nigeria's lithium reserves, contributing to global EV battery supply chain? And what steps are needed to maximize this potential, especially in-house?
Okay, so actually you have asked a question that sounds simple, but is actually a very complex question. And I would try my best to address it the best way I can. So first of all, an electric vehicle battery is the primary component. They are lithium batteries. But out of that lithium, the lithium is part of the conductor, but you also have the cathode, which is carbon. You have all these other components, iron, phosphate, or cadmium. This is where they are talking about the components of an electric. So yes, lithium forms a large part of that battery, but it's not everything. So that's one part of that question. The next thing for us to address is that, and let me take this just as a Nigerian. Remember when people go to farm for cassava? It's one thing for you to grow cassava and somebody comes from abroad and buys your cassava, but you have not processed it yet. All they are buying is cassava, they take it somewhere. You are going to get maybe 3 cents on $1 of the value of your cassava, right? It's not processed. So as a country, we need to say, okay, this cassava, let us process it. If high fructose corn starch is what you need, let me process it so that by the time you get there, so that out of that 3 cents, I can maybe start getting 15 cents.
15 cents, yeah.
Okay, same thing in lithium. Yes, we have lithium, but it still needs to be processed so that we can get more for our country out of that lithium. Therefore, we need to invest in that processing plant. We have not even gotten to the end product of what they're going to use to make a battery, right? But at least we are getting more value out of our raw mineral. Still more complex. So now, when we make that lithium, are we selling lithium to somebody, or are we selling lithium oxide, which is already processed? Now, let me now take you to another complex thing. Let us say that we are CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer. Many, many years ago, when people were talking about EV, these people have spent billions of dollars developing their technology. They've invested $50, $100 billion. They've already signed an agreement with Tesla, with all the EV, to produce battery for them. They've already sourced their supply chain of lithium. So therefore, these people already have an agreement that involves dollars of investment. So assuming now in Nigeria we say, okay, we've started producing lithium, you must come and put a CATL plant in Nigeria. Okay, all well and good, but they still need a lot of components. And don't forget that while CATL, they will make a battery that works in a Tesla car, but they will not make a battery that you can use in Tesla, in Volkswagen, in Kia. So therefore, they are smart, they are business people. It's the same reason why you cannot take the battery from an iPhone and put it in a Samsung, or put it in LG, or put it. So there are many steps of deals happening before you even get to the plant. So this is why I keep saying, oh, we should make our EV battery. We're not even making an EV. So when we make that EV battery, we're going to be making one EV battery of which most of the EVs are not using that battery. So we need to focus on processing the lithium. So it's well to say, okay, CATL, we have a lot of lithium. Partner with us and put a plant here, processing. If you make a battery in Brazil, 30% of the share of that battery is because you are using our lithium. You can see that the way we are discussing this deal is different now. These are the things, but there are still opportunity. EVs are not the only ones that use EV. One of the things that is clear now, the ways we are meeting our shortfall in electricity is mainly in renewables, particularly in solar. Nigeria has a lot of opportunity in producing power storage for homes, in which case we can partner with CATL, Panasonic, LG, any of them, and say, look, we have lithium. Let us start producing battery for power storage to stabilize our grid, produce power for homes. At least we can localize our own battery to drop the battery supply. So that opportunity, but you know, the opportunity for EV has long gone. But again, our lawmakers need to understand this. I'm not a politician, but there are some things they need to know. Because there was a time where it was said that Tesla wanted to source lithium from here, and they refused to sign that deal because they were telling Tesla, you must
bring your...
But was that a reasonable demand? No. You could have said, okay, you know what, this is the thing. When you make the battery, 30% of that, whatever, because you are sourcing it here, you should have enticed Tesla here and say, okay, look, 10% of that battery
comes to us,
is at least the value. Whereas by now, we might have been selling batteries worldwide that came from Nigeria. So this is my own approach to the lithium. Yes, but don't forget that there are other very rare earth metals that are used in battery that we have as well. So this lithium, yes, we produce lithium, but we produce maybe something that is maybe 20% of the component of a battery. And we need to understand this. We need to sign these deals that need to focus on getting more for the value of our mineral, which means we need to be able to process the lithium into a product that is possible for us to now export as. So instead of exporting lithium, let us export lithium oxide that is processed, ready for the battery manufacturer to start using. Instead of them to offer you 5 cents on the dollar, your deal is now 20 cents on the dollar because you have processed. Same thing in cassava, same thing in palm oil, same thing in petroleum. It's the same thing that Dangote said. Instead of exporting petrol to people, let us export diesel, hydraulic fluid.
Yeah.
Same thing.
All right. So basically, what I could deduce from everything you've said so far is our infrastructure also needs to be up there so that we can start processing.
Yeah, we
not
need
just
to invest in process.
take out.
Yeah, that is where the investment needs to be. And there are people who will partner with you. You need to entice them, start the industry first. Don't say no. You say, I want to start this, get the deal.
Start from somewhere.
Yes, get the deal.
All right.
Get the deal, then you can start that discussion. How much of this battery is our own?
So let's take it now to your organization. You've been playing in the sector for over 5 years. And obviously, there have been some experiences, challenges, opportunities, and all of that. Quickly give us the insight, into the current state of why did you establish SAGLEV and bring it to Nigeria, and how has the company evolved since its inception?
Okay, it's very simple. I've always been interested in tech. Even though I'm a medical doctor, I also did clinical informatics. So I've always been in tech. People ask me, why are you a doctor? And I've always been in tech, okay? Having said that, I had the opportunity to buy an electric vehicle in 2012. Before then, I had the opportunity to invest in Tesla in the US. This company is partly a child of Tesla because I was able to benefit from the rapid growth in that stock. And a lot of that investment is what I invested in this company. But it is just simple supply and demand. It occurred to me, Nigerians were buying very cheap petroleum at the pump. Now, if I say this, the ordinary person on the street can stone me. But it is true. We are paying 10% of the landing cost of petroleum, not knowing this. We got addicted to that. While we were paying 180 naira a liter, people in Ghana were paying over 1,000. And that is why it was possible for people to smuggle petrol out of Nigeria and become billionaires. People were doing that. But having said that, it occurred to me that, oh my God, the government is getting broke. The fuel subsidy is going to go away because to get to a point. Because as at that time, I realized that one of the complaints of IMF, World Bank, whenever we apply for a loan, they say, no, we cannot fund subsidy because the subsidy is going into the pocket of some people. Yeah. It's not benefiting
the masses.
So when I realized that, and I said, oh my God, there is a shock coming to the system. Fuel subsidy will go away and the average Nigerian is going to realize they have to pay 8 to 10 times. By the way, we are still not paying the landing cost of petrol. So there's still shock coming, but I'm not a politician. Let us leave that. So it now occurred to me that there is demand and supply. The average Nigerian is going to demand cheap power for mobility. And there is the supply. Electric vehicles are there to solve this problem. Every business, the basic principle is their value. You are just transferring value. Is there a demand for a product? And is there a supply? It is that basic principle of transferring value, that is where the business opportunity came. So that is part of it. And I said, okay, it's not about starting a business. Can I bring value? And then I started realizing that, look, the people in Francophone parts of West Africa and Ghana, they are very serious about EV. They always have been. That seriousness was not quite there because of the price. So that is why what led to this opportunity is there. But it also so happened that people did not believe that we had electric power. It took coming here physically to see it and understand that an EV stores a lot of power to move you 300 to 500 kilometers each time you charge it. People, I think, did not understand that because the actual experiencing of an EV had not happened by. A lot of people now are realizing that, oh, I charge this car, I'm only going to charge it 10 to 14 days, and I'm still good, and I'm driving the car in town. And it is way cheaper. Even at band A, the numbers are staggering. A ride-hailing driver today that is using maybe one of those small Suzuki to a bigger, maybe the size of a Toyota Corolla to a Camry, they are spending anywhere from a low of 18,000 naira to 35,000 naira a day for an Uber driver. That is outside of maintenance, outside of service, outside of repairing a day. Whereas our product that we are targeting for ride hailing is 4,000 to 5,000 naira a day to charge the car for under band A. Can you imagine if you are in Shomolu or Shodi and you are not in band A? You can pretty much cut that by 50%. So when I'm saying that there's a demand and those guys today, I cannot tell you the number of drivers who are waiting. They said, I want an EV. Now it's a question of how can I afford an EV? And now we are talking to the banks and telling them people are making an error. So now some banks have stepped up and said, we need to look at this thing. There are customers who want EV. These customers, let me tell you, did you know that a ride-hailing driver has a better income than most bachelor's degree, master's degree? Yeah, because we deal with them and we know that they can net 150 naira a week. That means you have somebody, and I've told the banks, I said, I think we need to understand this economy better. The problem is we are not investigating the informal economy in Nigeria properly. Did you know that if you have a salary and they are paying you 250 a month,
Yeah.
a bank will say, just put your salary account with me, I will finance you. You want car, I give you car. You want a house, you want to buy solar system, they will give you loan. But then I asked the same bank, you have a guy who is verifiably making 600K monthly, and you can't fund him. They say, oh, those guys are not reliable. I said, check your numbers well. Because we deal with them, they are making good money. So why can't you verify their income? You have not even done the first step. So, yes. So your original question, I think clearly...
You've done justice to
Yes.
that, and you've literally touched on my next question. However, I'll still need that data from you to give us specific data on SAGLEV's production capacity and the number of EVs assembled so far in the country.
Okay. So our capacity is 2,500 EVs annually as we stand today, which means that this is Monday to Friday, one shift. But if we go to 2.5 shifts, which means we are working 1.5 days on the weekend and we are going 2.5 shifts, we can go to 10,000 cars annually in that one plant. By the way, that's just our temporary site. We are going to build a much bigger plant which will be able to do CKD assembly, which is what Nigeria really needs. If the government can do the right things to make it work for manufacturers.
In Lagos?
So, yes. Let us put, yes. But as at today, in Lagos State, that is the capacity. And this is verifiable. Okay, what have we done so far? We have manually assembled 6 EVs as at today, which means from scratch to, as I was explaining to you earlier on, all of this is just training because our technicians have to be proficient. They will take this EV, pieces it to the chassis. They will be tested. The people testing them are in Asia. They have to assemble this EV. We cannot go to the full assembly until by the way, we have an OEM partner who has to certify that, yes, you are a partner. you are assembling our brand name. Let me give you an example. If I am assembling Peugeot, like Dangote assembles in Kaduna, right? There are some guidelines that Peugeot has set. Because you are using my name, Peugeot will say, I want to be sure that you can assemble this Peugeot perfectly. And they will not allow you to move forward until you have met those requirements. Exactly the same thing. We are partnered with Dongfeng. We only assemble Dongfeng products. Right now, Dongfeng makes over 25 to 30 different EVs worldwide. We only have 17 models. The one we feel are adaptable.
Yeah.
And so Dongfeng has to say, okay, SAGLEV, let me see you making this EV. Let me see after sales. Let me show that you have the ability to handle after sales. Let me see supply chain. Let me see inventory. Let me see your factory. Let me see minimum equipment. Let me see how are you going, because if you sell a Dongfeng to somebody and somebody goes to Asia and says, you know, I was in Nigeria and I bought a Dongfeng car and I could not get the parts, you can damage our reputation. If I trust our name and brand to you, will you destroy it? All of these things is what we have been working on for 5 years before we assemble. This is serious. So when people tell me, what have you been doing for 3 to 5 years? I'm like, you may not understand it, but I'm getting ready to take care of customers. And now, even before they say, okay, now we are going to ship SKD to you, I have to pay for the SKD. They say, okay, now that you have passed all those requirements we gave you, here is the first batch of SKD. Now we are sure you can assemble it. So now we have SKDs. In fact, I can announce to you that as of today, I got feedback that the SKDs got to Lome. They are now on a transshipment from Lome to Lagos. 5th of April, they will arrive.
All right.
That was okay, look, I'm only here. I cannot force Dongfeng to say, look, okay, so we have a partner that will ship to us, but this is serious business. Because they said, look, we've been shipping worldwide with this shipping line. I will not mention. I said, look, even there are some things we wanted to ship, other equipment. They said, no. You can't ship those with this EV because we don't want a damage to the EV before it gets to you.
Yes.
Let us ship with our own partner. It turned out that the partner, their ship that they have available is almost 60 days. I had to, even though I had a ship that will come faster.
I have to wait.
So look, this is what you pay for when you are in a country that doesn't have some certain capacity. Somebody in another country will dictate. That is literally what is happening. And look, I have to say yes, sir. So Dongfeng will say, criteria number 1 to 50. When you get to number 50, we go to the next stage.
Yeah.
That is how it works. So they just notified me, okay, congratulations, the ship has arrived. Now we are going to do transshipment. And I've told them, once we test this, can I use my own shipper? They say, okay, when we test this one first, then okay, we will allow you. This is how it works. So they will tell you this because they don't want excuse. The ship, the SKD got to the plant and all the hood were damaged. No, they don't want to hear that. It is after the process works. Okay, now this is how it works. If you want to do the right thing for us, look, I can import 10,000 EVs to Nigeria. I refuse to do it. I'll be selling it to people. I prefer to assemble them here. Such that I have aftermarket ready warranty. If you buy an EV from us, it has warranty. I can service it if I can pieces it into pieces. This is what I tell you. If I can pieces the car into pieces, clearly you know I can repair it. This is what we are telling people. Because I don't want to just sell you an EV, you buy the EV, something happens after 1 week. you don't know who to call. Because notoriously, automotive industry in Nigeria has been very bad with aftermarket service. We want to be the first where people can buy the car and they have peace of mind.
Right.
The warranty is not even from SAGLEV. No, the warranty you are getting is from Dongfeng. All I have to do is I have all the supply chain. I'm in their system. I don't want somebody to come and hack me. Say, I want to. No. But I am in their system. Oh, there's this car. This is the VIN number. They check. Oh yeah, this car is under warranty. I press. This car needs 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. We already have all the supply chain. They send it to the warehouse. The warehouse puts it on the air freight. It comes here. Also, the more frequent parts, we are going to stock it on hand. And this is how it should work. I don't want to, again, people should judge us by what we deliver. Let me let out a secret. This is another reason why I don't want to deal with any internal combustion cars, because they are much more headache. You have 4,000 to 6,000 parts in each internal combustion engine vehicle. I have maybe 40 to 80 moving parts in an EV. So there are some secrets that we know that led us to this decision. We don't want to and this is the future. Think about it. In the United States, in a lot of states in the United States, you are not going to be able to register internal combustion vehicle by 2030. 2035 in China. Okay, we don't make SKDs in Nigeria. Think about it, right? Everything is imported.
Yeah.
Which means that when you have a CKD, when you have a CNG, diesel, petrol car, you are going to start having problem getting the SKD from it from US, UK, Europe, Germany, China. Because what you don't realize is that they're already telling you, my brother,
move to EV.
Because when you call us that you want CKD of ICE, we're going to tell you, sorry, we don't make anymore. And that is already happening, because it will be a surprise to you when I started talking to companies in China 7 years ago. One of them called me, they said, we are getting some people asking us for conversion kits in Nigeria. We don't even know what a conversion kit is. Why are they interested in CNG conversion? We have gone past that. And this is what people from Nigeria were requesting. How to convert petrol to CNG. And people were asking me, why are people asking for conversion kits? They said, look, we have some old conversion kits. We can see how to manufacture some, but we don't.
That behind.
That's behind. We are even moving to EV now. We are not moving to. This was 7 years ago that people were telling us that. And yet, look at where we are. Now, people say, oh, the CNG was transition. Well, okay, so I'm letting out some of these secrets because we've always been confused. What is the strategy? But I don't blame the government. At the same time, you talk to the petroleum engineers, they say, actually, sir, Mr. President, you have more CNG than petrol. If you are the president, you tell me that, I say, then I need to know how to use this CNG. And if you have a situation where you are spending billions on subsidy, what are you going to do? You are going to say, okay, I need to use this CNG properly. So as a stopgap measure, if you are a diligent person and you are the president, so sometimes some of our mistakes is catching up to us, and that is an example. If we have been a successful country and we have done, today, the people who are even the highest oil producers are looking at electric vehicles. In Dubai, in Qatar, this is what they are doing. Why? And so if we are paying for some of our mistakes and some of our sins. There was a time when Nigeria economically was stronger than the UAE. We were borrowing them money. Look at where we are, UAE.
Balance has shifted.
So we are paying for some of those. I tell us each Nigeria should understand what we have lost. 65 years of independence. It is what we have lost that we should be thinking about, maybe
How to
catch up. So again, going back to your question, definitely, yeah. So
Alright.
yeah.
So thank you so very much. We appreciate the insight, and I'm sure that the audience, people watching this podcast, will know that you've given some sort of advocacy education and everything in between. Let's talk about the vision for the role of private sector investments in driving EV in Nigeria. So you're a private entity. I'm sure there are some private entities that are also coming into that space. And I think sometime in March, the FG also commissioned a plant where you can be charging EVs, I think somewhere in Abuja. So these are the things that we're looking at. How do you think the private players can, improve on what we have in the country right now? US is looking at, stopping the production of cars that are using petrol. In 2030, China is also looking at 2035. So obviously, before you say Jack, we're almost there. So how do you envision private players playing in this sector?
Okay, so definitely the private industry has a huge role. Generally worldwide, you will find that most developments are privately driven. In the United States, for example, the government NASA discovered a lot of things, but they let the patent go to private to develop it. So the role of government traditionally is actually low. Having said that, generally the investment and funding for development of the EV ecosystem is going to fall a lot on the private industry. So they need to understand their role. Now, granted, the government funds a lot of things in our economy, but that paradigm is changing. First of all, foreign direct investment is increasing. Africa needs to understand its role. I've always said Africa is going to be the breadbasket of the world. The rest of the world is realizing that, and you will notice that if you want to develop a company in the private enterprise that is going to grow 7, 10, 15% per annum, it is in Africa because the opportunity is there. But having said that, it is that attraction that the private industry is going to use to seek funding and do things. So the next thing I want to mention is that I have to tell you, my experience so far is that I have to commend the private industry in Nigeria. We came into this country primarily because we knew we have to focus on the private industry. If you ask me today, for my company, there may be other people that are dealing with the government. I'm not dealing with the government like as much. In Lagos State, we are talking to them on some things. But the people who are talking about adopting EV technology are by and large private industry, starting from the banks in finance, to oil and gas, telecom, even education. The reason is that it is conditions that make the back of crayfish to bend. Those private industry are realizing that they could be saving. And private industry, their role is to generate revenue and profit. If they reduce their expenditure, they are going to generate more profit. What they have realized is that, let me use banking for example. Every bank today has a few things that is driving their involvement. Number one, every bank today suffered tremendously on the issue of petrol and diesel. Their costs shot up. A lot of them has outsourced their staff transportation pool cars. There are banks today who don't even have pool car anymore. They've outsourced it. So when somebody say, okay, I'm running your pool car, but because of petrol cost, I'm going to increase what are you going to do as a bank? So the driver is, bank wants to save money too. They are adopting. We are talking to a lot of banks have come to us and say, hey, they've even come to the fact, listen, can you design a fleet management solution using EVs for us? So private industry, I have to give them their kudos. They are actually driving most of the EV adoption you are going to see is going to go into private industry. So research this, you will find this out. Even media houses like yourself, everybody likes to save money. And now they are vetting it and they are realizing, so we are going to save money on EV. I can tell you, this week I met with financial institutions that they've already committed. We are going to start buying because now they have left that point of let us vet it. They are actually now at the point of they are actually now doing pilots and proof of concept. Virtually every one of them are saying, let us buy EV. Once we see it, so that's not a question. Now, some of them are now saying, you know what? And I'm going to the next driver, ESG, sustainability. Let me give you an example. I'm not a banker, but I kind of know how they operate. Let's say you have a private office, Rockefeller Foundation, a funder from, most of them get investment from abroad. A lot of the Nigerian banks have a company who owns it that is virtually, this bank is really the Nigerian arm of, So the fund is coming from somewhere. Those people have ESG requirements, sustainability requirement, climate requirement. COP, every time you are hearing COP 29, COP this, at some point they will say, before you get money, show me your ESG. Even as a vendor to a bank, if you see the requirement, they send us the form. Luckily for us, our business is sustainability. But every bank, because they can say, okay, look, we would have given you this loan at 8%, but because your ESG score is low, you have to pay 10%. Nobody will tell them next time to go and work on their sustainability score. Again, another thing that is going to, everybody is understanding carbon credits, how they work. Now, let me tell you, if you are the bank manager, 10 of your directors need EV and you go and buy the biggest Land Cruiser for them, and you are chopping petrol every day, and somebody tells you, sir, you know you can buy EV, and are you seeing what is driving it in the private industry? Yes. So I have to commend, but I also understand what is driving it. But I have to commend them. I don't know. Look, I have not seen any private industry now that has not, what they are now vetting is charging available, is after parts available. That is why if you want to come into this industry, it's going to take you a while, but do what SAGLEV has done. Do it right. For instance, the players we are talking to in oil and gas has been a highly regulated industry. Before they will even touch you, they will say, where's your this? Where's your certification for this? Show me this. Show me this. So you can't just go and be importing EV from somewhere. There's many requirements. We have met a lot of those things by making that decision ahead. For us to do business with oil and gas, we are already ready to set. And those guys are ready because oil and gas is they know where their score is. But oil and gas also wants to say, yes, whereas we are flaring gas, but all our fleet is EV, sir. They say, okay.
You are putting in the work.
Yes. So the whole world, because look, climate change is real. Quick examples. I left the country in 92 finally, started in 91. So whereas I'm 56 this year, the predominant 35 years of my life I've lived abroad, even more than I've lived here. But one thing I can tell you is that Can you imagine a 55-year-old Lagos boy who somebody has to be explaining the climate to him because he doesn't understand? That's what happened to me. And I want people to listen to this. I am a boy who was born in Lagos, raised till I was in Lagos in my 21 years old, and I don't understand the weather again. It is my family and brother, because I keep asking them, sir, but we are supposed to be in Harmattan, and they start laughing. No, we don't get Harmattan like that. I said, no, we are supposed to be in Harmattan. I said, when I was going to school in Ilorin, by this time, it's dust Harmattan. They said, no, it's not like that anymore. Because I have the privilege of understanding weather then, and now I could see
The difference.
Climate change is real. Somebody was explaining to me, sir. I asked, why is it so hot in December? My driver first laughed at me, almost somersault. He said, okay, you don't become, he said, we don't have, he said, it's hot, sir, in December. They said, sometimes when you can see climate change is real. Even the ordinary person on the street. So we have to take climate and sustainability seriously. And now all the private industry, so there are things driving this thing. So I have to give this is their role. They are the ones who are going to adopt it. They are the ones who are going to push it. And let me tell you one thing. They say always follow the money. When you follow the money, you are going to answer questions. Because what is happening is very simple. You will find out that when a private industry realizes they can make more profit, because if I can borrow money at a different interest rate, that translates to profit. The CEO can write a fiat, say from today onwards, we are only buying EV in this company. Because your funder told you we will give you discount. This is just to follow the money. This is what is driving this. And private industry have to give them credit. They are paying attention. They are. So this is their role. They are the ones who are going to invest. Now, talking about investment, look, private industry, look at, and I don't mind calling their name because one has to give them credit. Sterling Bank. Their head office is powered primarily by solar. Do you know how much credit they are getting by doing that? Sterling Bank can go to Davos or where the Mubadala, all the funders of this world, and tell them, look, our head office is fully solar powered. Do you know how many investors to say, look, go and this is where we want to invest? So the money is now being dictated. It's the same thing. Today, most of Tesla's profits, where is it coming from? Is it really coming from car sales? No. It's coming from the sale of carbon credits. Whereas Tesla is selling carbon credits to the oil companies, yes. Okay, so if the carbon regime is already crystallized, well established, we are going to be trading in carbon credits too, because our contracts is already looking at that, where our buyers, we ask them, we invested a lot of money in this assembly plant. We are talking already towards the high 7-figure USD. Well, whereas you are a customer that buy an EV today, even if we can never make enough profit to defray that, so we are relying on you because you don't even know what they can. Sign it over to us. Let us be able to use that to defray, to even if it is future investment, we can say, okay, these are some carbon credits that we can use. Instead of giving us a loan at this cost, give us a loan. And so let us grow this company. So always follow the money, you are going to answer questions. So the private industry, I have to give them kudos, but they have a huge role. It is going to be driven. Don't forget that because of the way Nigerian history and government, a lot of things, funding was driven by the federal government. And because of our discovery of oil, it was the government that had money. But the truth is that that money is drying up. The federal government will tell you today, we have to cover the cost of all this prospecting before we even make money. There are times when you hear NNPC is not remitting money to federal account. Yeah. So now it is private investment, private industry that is, so their role, particularly in any climate, look, they are the ones investing. Look, don't forget, remember at the beginning of this discussion, we were saying that it is we are producing there about 5,000 megawatts or 5 kilowatt of daily. But our actual consumption is like 15 plus. We don't really even know. The gap is all renewables. And maybe some CNG,
Yes.
thermal. Who are the ones that invested in that renewable? It is this bank, that bank who gave somebody a solar company to start going into solar. There are companies now who are assembling or manufacturing solar panels. As a result, the cost of solar panel, very soon people are going to be doing batteries. Battery manufacturing, battery supply. So always follow the money is going to answer questions. Do you know who the people are who are investing in all that development, increasing our electricity generation? It is the private industry and investors who are, there are companies like Holon, Helios Partners, who are investing heavily, funding. Today, if you are a climate-focused company, you are going to get attention as a startup from funders.
All right, so you've practically touched on challenges, opportunities, the drivers of EVs in the country and even around the globe and how it works. So we just, as a parting shot, what should we be expecting from you as SAGLEV, and what should we be expecting from EVs in the country in general?
So the future is very, 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 very bright. I think before the end of this year, we are looking at assembling a minimum of 200 cars. And I'm just saying that just by orders and people who have expressed interest. It is likely to be more. So that's what you can look forward to. Within the next 6 weeks, we would have assembled minimum of 30 to 35, just based on the SKDs coming in. There are some shipping issues that we are dealing with, so some of which I touched on. So that's what you can expect. Within the next 6 weeks, we have banks who have expressed interest to try and start financing ride-hailing drivers. What is going on now is really hell. If you call an Uber today on Lagos Island, you are going to wait and wait, depending on the hour of the day. That is just ridiculous. When we have ability, we have drivers interested, now banks are saying, look, there is a business. You cannot steal an EV. Because you have to find a place to charge it. We can track the EV. Let us start funding this thing because these guys are generating money. Today, a ride-hailing driver is generating upwards of 85,000 naira a day in gross. That same driver can take home 150,000 naira a week. This is not a joke. If you want to make money, you can. And let me tell you, Uber, Bolt, they will tell you they have a shortage of good cars and good drivers. And yet, here we are telling you these are good cars, it's an EV, it's good for the environment. So now, things are beginning to add up. So very soon, you are going to see upwards of, because I know other companies are doing this, I can predict that in the next 6 weeks, you're going to see a minimum of 200 ride-hailing EVs hit the road. Why? Because I know there are companies who already have their fleet. I see their fleet every day. So things are happening. So seeing from, we do not run fleets, but we are a manufacturer. So we're talking to these people. So those are things you can expect. Charging is available. You get a car from us, other than the one for the ride hailing, who will be charging at a point. You will get a EV charger with it. We have a team that installs it. So you will start finding that more and more Nigerians will start seeing their neighbor. That my neighbor is driving. One neighbor is telling another neighbor. Let me quickly finish with a joke. I have a driver. I've called his name so much that even some people on some podcast I did in the US, they ask me, where is James? But I have a driver who has told me that, look, Oga, if I want to take work as a driver and you don't have EV, I'm not taking that job.
Point blank. Because he has been driving an EV for 2.5 years. James has not gone to sleep in any petrol station. He has not experienced fuel scarcity. He has seen the price he used to feel, because we have a big SUV that we don't even drive. We have not driven it hardly 3 times in the last 2 years. That's just how it will impact the life of a common anybody. So these are the things you're going to be seeing. Neighbors will start telling neighbors, I'm driving EV. So that's a joke. My driver has told me, say, Oga, if you don't have EV, I reject that job because I'm not going back. He has said it. He said, with what I have seen already, even if you want to interview me, I want to give you a job. The first question is, sir, you have EV. If you don't have EV, I will tell you, go and wait there. Yeah. So drive, because he's telling his co-drivers. Those ones too are saying, hey, that's so happy. Me too. I have to. Yeah. So neighbors are going to tell neighbors. So these are the things, it's not all bad. It's tough. The economy is tough. We suffered a lot from COVID. We have to recover. We have to, our political system has issues. But look, we are a 65-year-old country who is blessed. Don't forget, 1/4 of Africans are Nigerians. 20% of every black human being on this world are Nigerians. This is the blessing that we have in Nigeria. Whereas we are angry that we should think about these things and say, oh, the future has to be bright. All of a sudden now, if you deploy this education, deploy technology, already you go to the US, how many Nigerian doctors who are trained there work in the US? Well, I am guilty of that. I practiced for 27 years in my own private practice as a doctor in the US. I'm guilty of that too. So I thank God that as a second career, I had this opportunity to come back to Africa and do this. So the future is bright. It's difficult now. We are going to overcome it. All these people who japa, I've told them, don't only mention japa, mention jakpada. Because all of them, they are saving their Canadian dollar, Nigerian dollar, British, where they japa to. There are things happening over there that is making them to realize I'm not from here. Ask them. Every day, somebody is reminding them, oh boy, you are not American, you are not Canadian, you are not Japanese. Ask them. They will tell you 100%. They will tell you every day somebody reminds me I'm not from here. Okay.
All right, so thank you.
All those money are coming back. It's coming back. Those people, look, how do I know that? We are getting calls of many doctors who are telling us, I have $30,000. Let me invest in an EV. Give it out to Uber drivers because they are seeing the projected returns. And Nigerians now, we don't play with money.
That's all.
Okay. So the future is bright, but we are 65 years old. The United States is 245 years old, and we'll be comparing. They did a lot of hard work, learned a lot of lessons, hard lessons. And the time is going to come in Nigeria where we will learn enough lessons, and Nigerians will tell you, guy, you want to become senator. Show me Nigerians will start rebelling and kicking people, and you have to deliver the goods. They're going to demand it. And look, virtually every Nigerian has a cousin who will give in $200 to go to toll gate and protest. Politicians are going to learn that lesson. Yeah, we need $100 to. So politicians are starting to learn this. They are understanding. So look, our political system is going to change. Which means that person, you say, I will give you 5,000. I say, no, my uncle just signed me $100. Thank you. Keep your money. I will vote for the right person that can do this. It is happening. You say, no, my uncle will give me $30. I don't want your 5,000. Go and keep it. Are you going to do something for our constituency? When you take look, it is happening. People are. The last thing I will tell you, as far back as 2015 or so, the diaspora investment fund transfer into Nigeria was $20 billion annually. Over the last 20 years, we're talking over the last 10 years, $220 billion has flowed into Nigeria. Who sent it? Diaspora, they are beginning to realize. So if you are a politician and you are not delivering, Judgment Day is coming. So we are 65 years old. When they are sitting in the Senate, you think they don't know this? Very soon, they will have to deliver. So look, the future is bright, and we're getting there. Look, it may not be in my lifetime, but at least I am starting to get the sense that even in the midst of some hopelessness, I can assure you, this is how much Nigerians are remitting to Nigeria. In fact, if you cancel all those remittances, our economy will. We have dirty December. Worldwide, if you mention dirty December today, can you imagine the tourism? All these people are going to come for dirty December. Are you going to be driving them around in downfall that is smoky? They will say, do you have EV? Where I come from is EV that I drive. Okay, it's not all hopeless. I know it's hard to hear, but so these are some of the things I just wanted to use a real life example to tell you, because we are seeing these things. Last week, we had a lady who is in a wheelchair, which is a very embarrassing point. We ourselves, we have not been thinking, what about the disabled and handicapped? So now we are going to be focusing on EVs that disabled and handicapped can drive. There are solutions. The lady came in here, she's a successful businesswoman, but she's in a wheelchair. And she said, I've seen these EVs. I have been thinking, how will I get an EV? She came in here. I said, Madam, for real? She said, yes. I said, do you know, Madam, that there are some tools you can put on any car? She said, I said, yeah. So I told her, I said, Madam, if you buy an EV, I'm going to install those tools for you free. Okay, if somebody who has so many challenges can buy into it, so I'm just using practical example, because now I've realized that my biggest problem is, how do we get the message to Nigerians? So now I'm learning more. How do we get the message? I use the practical. Look, if you are a university graduate and you can't find work, Uber drivers are making 500K a month. Minimum. My brother
can join that sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So we really appreciate you. It's been an insightful conversation from the general aspect of things. So insights into your organization and what you do, and challenges and opportunities that are in the sector. Also, thank you very much. We really appreciate you from the end.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.